On today's episode of the Twedt Show Podcast, I got a lot of things to discuss. I got a lot of things to talk about. We've got 76ers and Celtics Game 7 to talk about. I got to recap all the other NBA games. We're going to talk about Ja Morant getting in trouble again. And I have a new segment, the first ever Twedt Show Podcast segment. It's very exciting. I'm very excited about this segment. I think it'll be a very good segment. But after I get done with it and listen to it back again, doing some editing, I'll think about it, see how it goes, see what the people think about it. So we'll see how this segment goes. So with that being said, let's get started with today's episode. So, the Philadelphia 76ers once again below it. I'm lost for words, actually. Neither do I care if the Sixers would have won that Game 7. So let me just back up for a second. Let me just start with the 76ers and the Boston Celtics played a Game 7 on Sunday. And, it was sort of a close game. It was halftime. The Sixers were only down like 4 points, I think. And then something happened in that second half where they just stopped playing basketball, or they just forgot how to play basketball. I don't know, but either way, it was bad. And once again, Doc Rivers has blown another playoff series. Are we shocked? No. Are we shocked that the 76ers blew an opportunity to go to the conference finals since 2001? No, we're not. But it's just one of those things, like, I would think as a 76ers fan that you would just be like, how can we not get past the second round of the playoffs? Like, what is it about this, like the second round we just can't get past? Is it because of the opponents that they're playing all the time, or is it just bad luck? I don't know. I'm trying to understand. I'm sure there are a lot of Philadelphia 76ers fans that are hurt right now that don't want to hear me talk about this, but we got to talk about it. And you got to listen to it because it's true. Everything I'm about to say is probably true. So we'll start with Doc Rivers, and then we'll talk everybody else on the team. So Doc Rivers has now blown 7 playoff series leads. So back in 2003, he blew a 3-1 lead against the Detroit Pistons when he was in Orlando. Then he blew a 3-2 lead against the Magic in 2009. He blew a 3-2 lead against the Lakers in 2010. 2012, he blew a 3-2 lead against the Heat. In 2015, he blew a 3-1 lead against the Rockets when he was at the Clippers. And in the bubble, he blew a 3-1 lead against the Dallas Mavericks, I believe. Or no, wait. No, it was the Denver Nuggets. My bad. They played the Mavericks before that. And now this year, obviously, they blew a 3-2 lead against the Celtics. Doc Rivers also has the most Game 7 loss as a head coach. Crazy. And he has 10 Game 7 losses. The Bucks, Celtics, and Hawks as a franchise have 9. Only the 76ers have more than Doc Rivers. Also wild. Doc Rivers' last 9 games to make the conference finals: 2015 Game 5 loss, 2016 Game 6 loss, 2015 Game 7 loss, 2017 Game 7 loss, 2020 Game 5 loss, 2020 Game 6 loss, 2020 Game 7 loss, 2021 Game 7 loss, 2023 Game 6 loss. Outstanding stuff right there, Doc. Now, I want to say that Doc Rivers is a fantastic coach, regular season wise, and he's probably a great mind of an actual head coach. He seems like a good guy. He seems like a coach I would want to go play for. But for some reason, in the playoffs, since he's won that title with the Celtics, he hasn't done that well. Actually, I feel like ever since he left Boston, I feel like he keeps failing in the playoffs, which is kind of odd. Don't you think if you would have won a championship, you would keep having success? I'm starting to think it might be a Doc Rivers problem. After this, I would think within the next 3 days, even tomorrow morning by the time you're listening to this, maybe he's already gotten fired. I don't know. But if you want to get over that next hurdle, I don't think he's the answer. Now, I can be completely wrong about that, but that's just me. I think a lot of people would agree that Doc Rivers isn't really the answer for Philadelphia. I feel like if they want to get over that hump, well, one, they got to do a lot of other things just besides getting rid of Doc Rivers. I think they should probably just let James Harden go. I don't think James Harden is really the James Harden that we all knew and grew up watching. He's not the same James Harden anymore. He's not dropping 30 points, even though he had moments in these playoffs against the Celtics where he was like, oh, James Harden might be good-ish again. And then he would have moments again, like in Game 7 where he dropped like 9 points. He have like spurts, like these small sample size of just showing the old James Harden we knew that he can be. And then he would have like these moments where he would just he would not do anything. Like he wouldn't be, the old James Harden in Houston Rockets. But I don't know. Maybe I don't understand what happened to him. Is it maybe it's because he's in a bad system? I don't know. Just still trying to figure that part out. Like what happened to James Harden? Why is he now just not very good at basketball? I mean, he's still good, but he's not the James Harden we all knew when he was at the Rockets like 5 years ago. Or not even, how long has it been since he went with the Rockets? Well, he left for the Rockets in 2020, but like I meant like the MVP form, James Harden. So, and then you obviously have Embiid. So Embiid is also, I feel like, is sort of in a weird situation where probably some Sixers fans are probably asking themselves, do we want Embiid to come back? Do we want him here? Is he really the answer? And maybe Embiid's thinking the same thing. Like maybe I need a fresh start. And maybe if he wants to get over the next, if he wants to get over that hump, he got to go somewhere else. And maybe he thinks in his mind that he can get there with this team, but maybe it's not the players that are currently in the roster. Cause I feel like there's probably some players on this roster that probably shouldn't be on there. Like I was saying, like, I don't think James Harden's coming back. I definitely don't think Doc Rivers is coming back, but again, I could be wrong. I don't know what the ownership or, Daryl Morey, is that his name? Daryl Morey is thinking. I don't know what their process could be about that. I think they should keep Tyrese Maxey. He's a star. They should probably just get rid of some of the others. Like Tobias Harris, I think he should probably go. Who else? PJ Tucker. I would just kind of like reevaluate the roster, say who needs to stay, who needs to go. And then after that, then you figure out who you need to build around. Because if you're going to keep Embiid, you got to figure out how to actually build around him. Because I think most people are starting to think, at least, that he's not a number one option in a championship team. I think he's definitely a number two. I don't think he's number one. I don't think you can go to him like when the game's online. I don't think you can go to him and need a basket. I just think that. And maybe someday I'm wrong because I really like his game. His game is great. He's a really good player. That's why he won the MVP this year. He was most worthy of winning MVP. But it's just one of those things. Like I don't think he's like. I think he needs like whom I'm trying to think who he needs. Like he would need like trying to think of a guy who's like a number one. I mean, really, they could have just had Jason Tatum. They just would have drafted him, but that's a whole nother story. They could have just drafted him, and then him and Embiid could be winning championships, but that's not the case. Now he's with the Celtics, and he's about to attempt to try to get back to the finals. But yeah, I think you just gotta, like I said, if you're Daryl Morey, you just gotta look at your roster again and decide, how am I going to get this team to win a championship? I don't think it's James Harden. I don't think James Harden's the answer. I just don't think he's the answer anymore. I don't think he's going to help you. I think you just got to let him go. Now, I believe he does have a player option, so that's up to him if he wants to stay or go. So it's going to be very, very interesting offseason for the 76ers, I think. If they really want to continue to compete in the East, which I think they still can, but again, it's going to be a bit tough because for some reason they just can't get over that hump against the 76ers, or not against the 76ers, but against the Celtics, or just getting over that second round. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how the offseason goes for them. As for the Celtics, I know I had some tweets about Jason Tatum about, how he was playing awful in those first 3 quarters in game 6, which he was. He only had 3 points. And then for some reason in that fourth quarter, he just flipped a switch and he had him. He was him in those moments. And then after that fourth quarter happened in the game 6, where in the post game, he's like, humbly, I'm one of the best players in the world. And then game 7, he reminded all of us why he's humbly one of the best players in the world, going off for 51 points, which is truly remarkable. 51. And like, he was going off in that first half. He had like 30 in the first half at least. And then second half, he just continued off and just put away the 76ers. Like, that second half was just a bulldozer. Like, I think the third quarter was like 30-10 for the Celtics at one point. They went on like a 30-10 run. Let me see. What was the score of that game? Or what was the third quarter? Yeah, 33-10. 33-10 in that third quarter. Crazy stuff. I mean, just crazy. So, yeah. So now I think the Celtics are probably the most likely team to win the NBA championship. At least that's what we sort of thought last year. Maybe they still can this year. And the redemption tour, the revenge tour for that NBA, for that 18th title. Maybe Jason Tatum can get there. Who knows? But they got to get past the Miami Heat, who have been looking really great. And we'll get to Miami in just a moment. But, yeah, so sort of put a bow on this 76ers and Celtics series. It was a good series. It was. It had their moments. We had some great performances, obviously, with Jason Tatum in the fourth quarter of game 6. Obviously, game 7, Jason Tatum. We had game 1, James Harden. And when, we had Embiid for game 3 or game 4. Obviously, it's just, I feel like also if maybe Embiid just really does, I truly think Embiid should probably leave Philadelphia. I think he needs a fresh start. I think he needs to go somewhere else and a team that will help him. I think he just needs to be a number 2. I don't think he's a number 1. I truly don't think he's a number 1 option for a championship team. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but I believe that. I believe that. So, if someone wants to clip this and say that Chanler, you're dumb, you think that Embiid can't ever be a number 1 option. Well, at the time of this recording in 2023 of May 15th, he's not a number 1 guy. And I hope in 2 years from now, somebody, like I said, somebody grabs this clip and says, Chanler, you were wrong. I go, fine, I was wrong. But, it is what it is. So, all right. Let's move on to the other sort of recap of all the other playoff games. So, obviously, the Lakers won their series. They beat the Warriors. The Heat beat the Knicks. And these Nuggets, when I recorded the last pod on Friday, were beating the crap out of the Suns, and they beat them in 6. So everybody else beat their respective opponents in 6 games, as before the Celtics beat the 76ers in 7. So now the final 4 is set. The Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. We have in the Eastern Conference Finals, the 76ers, not the 76ers. Swoosh. I'm still thinking about Embiid trying to leave the team and all that chaos that's going to happen this summer in Philadelphia. We have the Boston Celtics going up against the Miami Heat in a rematch in the bubble last year, which ironically enough, in the Western Conference Finals, we have the Denver Nuggets going up against the Los Angeles Lakers, who were also in the bubble that year. So basically, everybody was saying how the bubble doesn't count. We now have the 4 teams that were in the bubble that year back in the Final Four. So it will be very fun to see how these series be played out, because I think Denver I think Denver wins this series. I think it'll go 6 or 7 games for sure. As for the Celtics and Heat, I think Celtics would probably. I think the Celtics. Now, the Heat have had a crazy great run going. They've been playing some really good basketball, but I think the Celtics are just a bit better. So I think I'm going to go Celtics also in 6, maybe even 5 even. I could be wrong. Maybe both these series will go 7. But I think it'll be Celtics versus Nuggets in the NBA Finals. When all said and done, I think it'll be those 2 teams, and then obviously we can talk about that when those 2 teams end up in the finals, which probably, by me saying that, it'll be Heat versus Lakers. All right. So another NBA news. Ja Morant got caught again with the gun. Now, let me give you some background. If you're not aware of what's happening with Ja Morant, or you don't know who Ja Morant is, for some reason, if you don't, he is obviously the Memphis Grizzlies point guard in the NBA. And yesterday morning, there was a video clip going around of his friend going on Instagram Live of him and his best friend, the friend being on Instagram Live, jamming out to a song, and next thing you know, Ja Morant has a gun in his hand, sort of waving it around, and then as soon as the friend realizes it, he immediately puts the phone down. He pans the phone to, sort of looking at Ja, and it's very hard to tell to see it at first, but if you slow down the clip and do some screen grabbing, obviously you'll see that Ja Morant has a gun in his hand. Now, I'm not really much of a gun expert, but I really don't care if he owns a gun, but you can't be stupid around it. You can't just be flashing and be like, oh, look at my gun, bah, bah. Look at this, hey guys, look at my gun. Okay, great. I don't care if you carry a gun, just obviously don't be dumb with it. I'm not really much of I don't own one personally. I don't really plan on owning one. It's not really in my wheelhouse. So, I mean, it's just one of those things I hope Ja, okay, so here's the thing. So when the first incident happened of him with the gun in a strip club, waving it around, doing nothing with it, and there was money, all over the floor, nobody really, we were all just like, why is he, the first question is, 1, why is he having it in the strip club? 2, how did he get it in there? 3, how did he get it in Denver? Because that's where the first incident happened. It was in Denver in a strip club. Did he bring it on the plane or all that? But now, this time he was in his friend's car or Ja's car. They were in a vehicle which just happened to have one in there. Obviously, that's when the first incident happened. He got suspended, and then he was having to go to, a rehab or whatever he did, and did it for about maybe a week. And then he talked to the NBA and he said, "Look, I made amends. I'm all good. I promise I'm not going to do something stupid like that again." Literally 2 months later, he does it again. Now, I think the NBA might bring a bit more punishment to Ja, because now that he literally lied right in front of their face about not doing something stupid like that again, the NBA might be like, hey, dude, you lied to us, so we're going to do a 30-game suspension for you. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies did suspend him from team activities until further notice, until they do some investigating about Ja. Again, I do not have a problem with Ja owning a gun. We all just don't want him to be reckless with it. We don't want him to be dumb with it, because the friend he was with is sort of what a lot of people are saying, that he's the problem. So he needs to get rid of that friend, because there's some reports out there that saying that he was the one that was in the car, is also the one who pointed a laser at the Indiana Pacers bus after a game. And then a lot of the Pacers people were like, he was pointing a gun with a laser on it. So, and then, some of the other incidents when Ja was, getting into a fight with a 17-year-old, he also happened to be there. So I think a lot of us are thinking that this friend that it was also on the video is probably most of the problem. So he needs to get rid of that friend. Clearly that friend is not being a friend for not looking out for Ja. And it's like, hey, Ja, actually you should probably not do dumb stuff. You should not be friends with me anymore, even though we're really good friends and we've been friends for probably 10 years, something like that. But I don't know. I think Ja just needs to be like, hey, man, we had some really good times together, but I can't be friends with you. I can't be associated with you anymore. I just, either you get your shit together, or I get my shit together, or we can go both get our shit together. But either way, it's a very dumb situation that's going on with Ja. It's just, I don't understand, what, really, you're gonna just celebrate, woo, 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 ooh, look at me, I have a gun. Like, okay, dude, no one really cares. Why are you flashing around? I don't know. It's just really dumb. It's really dumb. He's just being dumb. He's just being dumb. As simple as that. He's just being dumb. Like, we all know about the First Amendment, or not the First Amendment. The Second Amendment? We all know he can right to bear arms. Again, I don't care if he owns one. No one really. I think most population, or most of the people that are, fans of the Memphis Grizzlies or a fan of basketball, really don't care if he owns one. Maybe some people do if he cares if he owns one, but I think most of us just don't really care if he owns one. We all just don't want you to be reckless with it, and just don't be dumb, fast flashing your gun and stuff like that. I feel like it just sends like a bad message to everybody. But again, I'll get off my soapbox here now about Ja. As we let's see, what else did I have in my notes? All right, so we'll do this. So I've thought about this. This could be a nice transition from talking about guns and Ja Morant to now talking about reviewing TV shows and movies. So I think now that I'm going to be doing a lot bit more podcasting, I think I'm going to do a lot more like, segments and talking a little bit more about some stuff that won't be associated with, with sports, because there isn't a whole lot to be, talking about. I mean, I'll be doing a lot more baseball here, probably maybe in the next 2 weeks. I'll catch up with all my baseball news and stuff, see what's going on. But I feel like I'm going to do like some, like once a week, I'll pick like a TV show or a movie and watch that and then give my review on it. And maybe next week, I'll probably do that with Ted Lasso, because I don't know how many more episodes we have of Ted Lasso, or maybe I'll save that one for when the show ends. But like I'll do a movie. I'll watch a movie on Thursday, give my review on it on Tuesday. Maybe that's what I'll do. Either way, do some like TV shows and movie reviews. Give you thoughts like that. Maybe it'll be a fun conversation. Maybe give you guys some information if you're looking for a new TV show movie, because I'm always constantly looking for new stuff to watch. Because if I'm not watching sports, if there's nothing else on, I'll be flipping through, like Hulu and Netflix and all that. Be like, all right, what am I going to watch this week? What am I watching? So there's that. And then I think this summer too, I really should find like a, how there's this crazy wave for pickleball. Like I played it when I was in high school a little bit. We had this PE teacher and he sort of introduced it to us. He sort of introduced us to pickleball. And it was a really fun game. Like, actually kind of enjoyed it, playing it in high school, which was about like roughly 6 years ago. That's how you know how old I am. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things, like I enjoyed it and it was fun. I think now that pickleball is sort of picking back up and it's sort of like crossing the states, how there's like leagues and pickleball courts all over the place. I think I might have to join a league or something. I don't know. I think I kind of want to get into pickleball again. I mean, it seems like a really fun sport. And once again, I think, or no, what did we play? Yeah, we played pickleball. Like I remember some of the rules and I remember how to do it. I think, you have your kitchen and you can't go inside the kitchen. You have to stay in your box. You have to like underhand serve and all that other stuff. So, I mean, if I could refresh the rules, I think I could be pretty solid at pickleball. So, like I said, I have to do some research on pickleball because it's like a really popular sport right now. And I understand that maybe be like, well, Chan, pickleball is an old person sport. No, it's a young person sport now. Well, actually, it just be an all ages sport, really. Like anybody can play pickleball. So we'll look into that. I think I might do it, but I think I won't. I probably won't do it, but I'll try. If I hear of a pickleball thing going on, I'll be like, yeah, I want that. I'll be like, I'm in. So, yeah. All right. So I think it's time for the new segment. Drumroll, please. So the new segment is called What's Buggin' Chan? So how this segment works is every Tuesday, I will come up with something that's bugging me, or maybe even Thursday. I don't know. Either way, I'll stick to Tuesday. So Tuesdays, I'll come up with something that's bugging me. Every Tuesday, I'll come up with something that's bugging me. And I'll sort of rant about it, like how I rant about Ja Morant. And this week on What's Bugging Chan is searching for a job. That's really what's been bugging me. And also there's a couple other things that's sort of been bugging me. But this one's sort of on the top one. All right, so searching for a job is what's been bugging me this for a while. Now that I've recently technically graduated from college, I still need a math credit to technically graduate, which I will figure that part out. That's a whole nother story. But either way, when you're graduated from college and when you're trying to look for a job in your field or just any job, you're like, okay, I'm going to start applying for these jobs and try to reach out to them and, hey, can I work for you? And stuff like that. And it's really tough because, I don't know if I'm if I meet the requirements, and I read all these information. I'm like, okay, this seems like an intriguing thing to do. And then, I'm like, I read it and I'm like, all right, I don't really qualify for that. I don't really have the experience for that. I don't really do this or that. But it's like, it's really tough to find something in your field that you would think you'd be really good at. And I've applied to about 2 things that are sort of in my, field or wheelhouse that I think I would be good at, but maybe, I don't know. I was sort of looking just something that would get me into the footsteps or the doors of, media and digital media and journalism and all that other stuff. So, I mean, I looked at maybe becoming like a sports writer for a newspaper, but at the same time, I think I wouldn't be that good at it, but maybe if I give myself a second chance, maybe I'd be good at it. I don't know. Like I said, you just got to put yourself out there. So to see if you can succeed at it or you'll fail at it. So, and then just, if you don't find something in your field, then you got to find something that's just will pay the bills and all that, which is, again, kind of tough. Cause I don't really want to work at a warehouse, and I don't want to work at sales because I don't know anything about sales, even though it wouldn't be that bad of an idea to get into sales. Like everybody should know ideas about how to sell something, or just marketing, sales. I feel like that's always like a popular thing that everybody does these days. If you're going to be majoring in something, you're going to be either major in sales, business, marketing, something like that. I feel like that's always one of the top 5 things that people major in college all the time. So, I mean, it's just because I was talking to a career person, they were telling me, I was like, hey, this is what I like to do. But at the same time, I don't think she really understood what I wanted to do. She wasn't too familiar with what I wanted to do, which is fine, I guess. But that's neither here or there. I was telling her I wanted to be in sports, media, journalism, all this other stuff, podcasting, and I guess whatever. But either way, I was telling her what I was interested in. She's like, okay. Then, she was sort of like, okay, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about sports management and sales and all this other stuff? And I started looking at teams, some teams around here in Iowa, like the Iowa Cubs and Iowa Wolves and Iowa Wild. I was looking at their employment, and I couldn't really find anything because, one, there was nothing I was really that interested in, or I was like, well, why would I do that job? And either that or they didn't have jobs available. So I was like, okay, well, there you go. Otherwise, I mean, it's just, like I said, it just really bugs me that that I'm in a pickle. I'm sort of in the middle. I'm in the middle of getting a job and not finding a job. I'm out of college and then not finding a job. So it's just been very, very frustrating to find something that someone will pay you to do that you think that you'd be good at, and somebody was willing to give you a chance to succeed at the job. So, and then what comes with that is just I'm also at a pickle that I think at the same time, I think I'm wanting to continue with school. That way, if I keep going to school and getting a bit more experience with some of this stuff, and then if I keep going to school, and maybe I'll get in touch with other people that I think be like, hey, I went to this school, or whatever. whatever the case may be, because I've looked at some schools. I applied to like one, and I didn't get in. Well, actually, take that back. I applied to two. I didn't get in the one. I probably could get in the other one. I would have to change majors, and then I would have to like be like, hey, I know I probably should email her, but I don't think I would go to that school. I don't think I will. And then I've now recently looked at this one, but I've also looked about going back to the other school that I was recently removed from. But that's probably for another what's bugging Chan. But this whole job searching thing, it's just really been bugging me, and it's kind of getting a pain in my butt. So yeah, it sucks. Growing up, life, job, everything sucks right now. Hopefully I'll find something that will intrigue me and somebody will hire me for my lovely service. We'll see how that goes. And I'll keep you guys updated if something happens. So hopefully maybe in 2 weeks from now, I'll be like, hey guys, guess what? Your boy's got a job now. So like I said, we'll see how things go. So yeah. All right. Anything else that I wrote down in my notes that we needed to talk about? I think that was pretty much it. That's all I had in my notes. So all right. I guess this will be a short episode today. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you would like to listen more, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and much more. Whatever you find, wherever you are listening to this podcast, please subscribe. If you know someone that would like to listen to this episode or this podcast and is interested in sports and many other things, you should tell them to subscribe to this podcast. And also you should tell them to follow me on social media. That is, we are on Twitter, not Instagram yet. Not yet. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Like I said, as of right now, like I was saying before, that I think we'll do Tuesdays and Thursdays as episodes. So be on the lookout for every Tuesdays and Thursdays for the time being, unless things change. If I get a job, I'm going to have to probably reevaluate my days of posting an episode. But for now, these will be Tuesdays and Thursdays. So like I said, I'm on pretty much all the social media platforms. So if you just look on, if you just search Tweet Show Podcast on your social media, except for Instagram, you'll find it. So TWEDT Show, and then podcast. So with that being said, I appreciate you listening. Like I said, subscribe to all the platforms that I told you about. And I will see you guys next time.